All right, hey guys, how's it going? Well, I put together a little intro for this stream. I'm trying to up my game a little bit here. My hat's still touching the top of the screen. Let me move this back just a little bit. All right, that's perfect. All right, guys, I'm going to play this intro, and then on the other side, I'll get to what it is I want to say and the content for this stream. So I'll see you on the other side. Go Blue. All right, guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Youssef Dunbar, and this is Big Discussions 76 Sports. First of all, please like this stream, please share it, and please subscribe to my channel. Also, if you're watching this on the playback, likes are free. Every little bit of engagement helps, and every little bit of engagement helps. So let me see who my one commenter is here. Oh, it's none other than our resident super fan, Abdul Gaines. It's easy to win when you have 2 years to prepare for an opponent. As Carlton Banks said multiple times in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Abdul, touche. Abdul Gaines, we're going to get to you, and we're going to get to Buckeye Alex as well. As Buckeye Alex says, like and subscribe, please. I suspect some folks are going to roll in here once they see this is going. Yeah, guys. So I created and uploaded a pre-record in the aftermath of Saturday's game. I'm out in the woods a lot right now, and I don't have a nice broadband signal out there. I have my plus one keeps drawing me out there, so I have to go. But I don't have a nice Fios broadband signal out there, so I don't want to risk doing a live stream if it's going to be low quality for you guys, and if I'm going to be freezing and borging and those kinds of things. So I'm right here back in my home base for a little bit, and so I thought I'd do a live stream with just a few more thoughts on Saturday's matchup with the Buckeyes, and also to look forward and for us so we can start thinking about what's going to happen on Saturday out in Indianapolis. Um, Saturday's game. So I'll start with that. Let's see if I can jump in and out in about an hour, depending upon who comes in. I sent Johnny Olden the link earlier today. It's last minute. He's a busy guy. He probably has stuff to do. So I don't know that he'll show up. But so for me, I have some points here. You know, guys, I'm formal. I like to have an outline, and I like to have a format and a plan of things to say. And I just want to say Saturday's game, I'm still happy about the outcome. I still can't believe that we're playing on Saturday out in Indianapolis. I was getting ready to upload some more sports related content, but not this. I was ready to pack all the equipment up for this year and wait for our invitation to the Citrus Bowl or whatever. And here we are. You know, the team's going out to Indianapolis to play the Iowa Hawkeyes, and for the first time in 10 years, the Michigan Wolverines defeated the Ohio State Buckeyes. So it's strange. It's strange. It's been 10 years. Saturday, I'll tell you what happened on Saturday. As most of you guys know, I'm a blogger, and my first blog is the central component in my LLC. And there's been some hacking to WordPress that's been going on the last 2 weeks. And so basically my blog went down, and I'm on the phone with GoDaddy, or I'm trying to get on the phone with GoDaddy on Saturday morning. And so at kickoff, I'm literally on the phone with GoDaddy tech support, waiting my spot in line, trying to get my blog back up. And I'm watching the first quarter, and I can't get through. And then at some point during the second quarter, I said, you know what? I can't do anything else with this today. So I'm going to put this down and just focus on the game. And, you know, I was sitting on the phone with GoDaddy, and I was watching the Wolverine offense move the ball. I was watching Hassan Haskins run the ball. I was watching Caden McNamara throw. And I was, on the phone trying to get together with GoDaddy. I'm thinking, wow, we're moving the ball pretty well. Wow. And it's snowing. It's snowing in the big house, and it's gray and cloudy, and it's the type of weather you would expect in the Great Lakes in November. And how's this weather going to do? How's the Ohio State passing game going to do in this weather? And this is what I was thinking when I was on the phone with GoDaddy trying to get my blog back up. And then after a while, I just put the phone down and focused on the game. And I'm going to go over some of my main points from the game, but I'm going to start by saying my first point here is that this is very gratifying. And you know what, guys, I'm a pragmatist. Buckeye Alex is there in the chat. Some of my viewers came for Buckeye Alex and Abdul Gaines after the game, but I'm a pragmatist, just like Buckeye Alex, and these are 18, 19, 20, and 21-year-olds. Sometimes they're a little bit older, but these are college kids. We all have day jobs. We all have lives, and we all have things that, we arguably deserve more attention and more worry than whether or not our college football team wins. But, I'm wearing my Michigan alumni shirt. I got to the university in 1999. And, when you go to a Big Ten university or an SEC university or even an ACC university with a storied program and with a team that's considered a perennial power, and you go there and you become an alumni and you become a part of the fan base, it matters. The school colors matter, the helmets matter, the fight song, that all matters. And as John U. Bacon pointed out, it matters more so than your NFL team. There's a loyalty that you have to your college football program and your school that is unlike, in my opinion, it's unlike any allegiance, especially nowadays with free agency. It's unlike anything in the NFL. So it was very, very gratifying. So I was there just a quick trip down memory lane, guys. I was there to witness the end of the Lloyd Carr days. And you know what, guys? I just realized before this live stream, this game is actually at Indiana. I thought this was right before the 2006 Classic at the Horseshoe, but this is actually at Indiana. But I think it's that same team, that same lineup. But I was there to witness Lloyd Carr's final good days. I was there to witness the coming of the Senator, Jim Tressel, and Troy Smith, and Ted Ginn Jr. and Brian Rubisky, and all those guys, Antonio Holmes, Anthony Gonzalez, James Laurinaitis, Mike Doss, Craig Krenzel. I was there to watch Ohio State ascend. I was there when Jim Tressel made that proclamation that a year from now you're going to be proud of your football team. And I was there when Lloyd Carr just couldn't seem to figure out how to go toe for toe with Jim Tressel. There were some games where we were close. Actually, most of those games were close. The year Ohio State won their national title with their lucky pass interference call against the Miami Hurricanes, that was a close game. The next year, which was Lloyd's only win against Jim Tressel, that was a close game. The next year, which was Troy Smith's first year at the helm, that was a close game. The next year, when Troy Smith came in and ripped our heart out at the Big House, that was a close game. And then the 2006 Classic, Ohio State only won that game by 3 points. So while Lloyd had a poor record against Jim Tressel, Lloyd's teams were in those games most years. But it's just Troy Smith was a difference maker, and they had some pretty talented players on those teams. And in my analysis, I think that if no shade's being thrown at Chad Henne, but if Chad Henne was as mobile as someone like Troy Smith or even Drew Henson, I think that could have been the difference in those games against Ohio State. But I'm saying this to say that I saw pretty much, quote unquote, the fall of the Michigan football program. I saw Lloyd get run out of town by fans like Abdul Gaines. I saw the coming of I thought I loaded this. No, there he is, right there. There he is. Hold on. Guys, if you're just coming in, please hit that like button. The Super Chat is live as well. You know, I'll throw my Cash App and PayPal in there if you feel so inclined to make a donation. But I saw the coming of Rich Rodriguez. You know, the thing was, you know, we've been running this pro-style offense. Maybe it's time we run a spread. I saw this. I saw Lloyd get run out of town. I saw Rich Rod come in and take away our fullback and our tight end for 4 wide receivers and mobile, not necessarily pro-style NFL quarterbacks. I saw that. I saw Rich Rod come in, and I saw his offenses start to excel while his defenses still floundered a little bit. And it just didn't look natural when Rich Rod was here, just because Michigan is, for me, it's always going to be playing defense, running the ball, throwing the ball off of the running game, sending pro-style quarterbacks to the NFL. For me, that's what Michigan football is. So I saw the final good years of Lloyd Carr. I saw the coming of Rich Rod. I saw Rich Rod make steady progress, but I saw him get run out of town and fired by Dave Brandon, paving the way for Brady. This is an elite job and will continue to be an elite job. This is Michigan, for God's sakes. It's what it's all about. Also, Brady's other famous line, I have nothing but respect for Ohio. And answering Drew Sharp of the Detroit Free Press, yeah, I want to win the national title, but it's about winning the Big Ten first. If we win the Big Ten first, oh, Johnny's here. If we win the Big Ten first, everything else will shake out. Everything else will work out if we just win the Big Ten first. So I saw Brady come in. I saw Brady come in and beat Ohio State, eliminated Ohio State with a freshman Braxton Miller and a Luke Fickell coach. I saw Brady come in and commit to restoring the program to a pro-style offense. And Brady could recruit. We know that Brady could recruit his butt off. Brady brought in quite a few players, but we know that over the course of Brady's years, the program he got it here with Rich Rod's players, but the program seemed to go down like this. And there was something about the player development that Brady struggled with. And then Brady eventually got ushered out of town, which paved the way for Jimbo to come in. And we were all happy when the prodigal son came back. And Jimbo seemed to, just his mere presence, seemed to reinvigorate the program. He took Brady Hoke's players and seemed to work magic with Brady Hoke's players, aside from the muffled Blake O'Neal punt game. And then that first year, Ohio State was coming off their championship, so they still had Ezekiel Elliott and JT Barrett and Cardale Jones and all those guys, so they overwhelmed us at the big house. But then the next year, the Michigan football program, it had 1 year under Jimbo and that staff, and they went into Columbus with arguably the better team. Ohio State didn't have an overwhelming offense that year, but we went in with a quarterback with a broken collarbone, and we also went in with a offense that couldn't always move the ball on the ground late in games. And that's what happened to us in Iowa City 2 weeks before that game. And that's what happened to our team at Ohio State. And what happened was the game was left in the hands of the officials. Wilton Speight threw 2 interceptions. Wilton Speight almost fumbled the ball away at the goal line. So those first 2 games, the second game Michigan was in under Jim. The 2017 game, Michigan was in that game under Jimbo. At halftime, the 2018 Revenge Tour game, we were in that one up until halftime. Shout out to Sam Webb for pointing that out. The 2019 game, we were in that game ballpark at halftime. Shout out to Sam Webb for pointing that out. And Jim just couldn't seem to seal the deal and get a win against Urban Meyer or Ryan Day. And what we saw over those first 5 to 6 years, people were calling for Jim's head. Fans like Abdul Gaines were calling for the tiki torches. Get him out of here. We need a new coach. He doesn't have what it takes to beat Ohio State. He's not a winner. Get him out. Get him out. New coach. Oh, Abdul Gaines was calling for Jimbo's head. I have an uncle who was calling for Jimbo's head. A Twitter follower named C. Everyone was like, fire Harbaugh, fire Harbaugh, fire Harbaugh. And when you start to hear that enough, you start to say, okay, well, maybe he's not a good coach. Maybe he's not who we thought he was. Maybe the Mike Valenti guy, maybe he's right. Maybe Jim is just in here stealing money. And, you start to lose hope. But I want to give a shout out to Ward Manuel. Ward Manuel had a tough decision to make after last season. The fire Harbaugh calls were at a fever pitch. Me and Alex were sitting up here talking about what's Jim going to do. He can't stay. Jim flew out to San Diego to interview for the Chargers job. And we were waiting to see, well, what's he going to do? And when he came back from San Diego, there was nothing. And Ward Manuel said, here, take this contract. You're going to get paid less. It's full of incentives. And somehow Jim survived. He cleaned out his old staff, got rid of Don Brown, Ed Warner, brought in a new group. And, at the beginning of this year, then we're hearing about our goal is to beat Ohio State. And it's like, dude, you never said this before. You never started the season off before with that being the goal. And now you've got a young team that's very inexperienced at most positions. How the hell are you going to beat Ohio State this year? And so we start the season off mostly running the ball. We lose Ronnie Bell in the first game. Now we have this young wide receiver core. I mean, all of us were questioning, why isn't Caden McNamara throwing the ball? Why is he making the wrong reads? Why is he underthrowing this? Why is he doing that? And it wasn't looking very good. Partway through the season, they seemed to start building a passing attack around that running game. We had the heartbreaking loss to Michigan State, which arguably we gave up a 16-point lead, but also the Big Ten officials screwed that one up. Everybody knows that. Sparty fan, you know that too. And then they just seemed to, after that, they seemed to refocus and catch a stride. And that led up to Saturday's matchup at the Big House. And Johnny's backstage. I didn't take Steve Dace's position that I was going to take my daughter to watch a movie, but at the same time, Johnny's laughing. But at the same time, I was going to watch the game with a healthy sense of skepticism. I was going to watch and see, okay, well, we've seen this movie before. We know how this goes. CJ Stroud's going to come in and slice the defense up, and our offense is going to fall behind and fall apart at some point. But much to my surprise, as I was on the phone with GoDaddy trying to fix my blog, the offense came out. The running game was punching Ohio State in the face, and they were just blowing them off the ball. Cade made some throws aside from that early interception, and Ohio State just had a hard time stopping our run game. CJ Stroud made some throws to Garrett Wilson, Smith and Jiba, and Chris Olave, but they never got downfield and gashed us the way that they did Michigan State. So so I don't know if it was just the elements or the game plan that Mike McDonald drew up, but they were never able to catch up. And even in the closing minutes of the game, I was looking and saying, okay, CJ Stroud's going to connect on something long here. They're gonna snatch it away somehow. But Aiden and Josh Ross and those guys, they came to play. They came to compete, and they were not going to be denied. So it was just very, very gratifying to watch that. Guys, I'm gonna bring Johnny up. He as always, he created quality content after the game, and we could talk about what happened, and then we'll look forward to the Big Ten title game on Saturday. So I'm going to bring Johnny up, and we'll talk about the actual game and what happened. What's going on, Johnny?
How's it going, bro?
Good, man. Good. Still digesting it. It's still a little bit of disbelief, but it's a happy disbelief.
That was amazing. Like, it wasn't the fact that we just won, it was how we won. Like, straight dominated them on offense. Second half, we didn't have a third down, I don't think. It was just first, second touchdowns, basically. You know what I'm saying? Like, we just dominated them the whole second half. And normally that's when Ohio State comes out second half, and it's close first half. Second half, they blow our doors off. So it was just amazing to see a Michigan team that's more physical, more tough, is just got that dog in them. And something that I saw, and I know people that probably saw it also, when the teams were coming out the locker room second half, and Michigan, Ohio State's in front of them, and Michigan is yelling at them, and it looked like they were kind of like, are these dudes for real? Like, these dudes taking this serious. Like, yeah. And it kind of showed on the field that like, them dudes didn't want to deal with Haskins. Like, they didn't want to deal with the offensive line. And it was amazing. Like,
yeah, you could see it. You could see that he was just running through there. I don't want to say unimpeded, but he had lots of room to run. And I don't know what Ohio State was scheming, or even if they had the athletes to stop that. But it was comforting to see our offensive line consistently asserting themselves at the line of scrimmage, and it just wasn't even close. Aside from that early pick that Cade threw, yeah, it's just that they were kind of back on their heels for the entire game. And I was concerned. I was thinking, okay, they're going to get the ball back at halftime, first thing in the third quarter, but they did not. I expected them to march the ball on the field and scored, but they didn't do that.
Yeah. Mike McDonald, and this is something I've preached about for so long, was just not having Don Brown in that man blitz scheme. It gives you so much of a chance because he just doesn't change it up. So, and a lot of people didn't know this. Ryan Day and Don Brown coached at I don't know if it was UMass or whatever. They coached together, and they said he used to shred them at practice. So it was after the first year he got shredded. He probably should have been fired, but it's here nor there now. But it's just the big difference between somebody that'll call zone here, man blitz here, zone blitz here, press with two safeties over the top. And a lot of that game, we just had press coverage, so they're not getting off the line free with two safeties over the top to make sure they don't get the huge chunk play. You got to dink and dunk and be patient and hope that our pass rush doesn't get to you. And we know it's going to get there. It's going to get there sooner or later. Aiden is just, I got so much respect for that dude and what he's done for this program this year.
You know, Johnny, in one of your post-game videos, you made an excellent point. I was driving back here listening to it. You stated what Aiden is doing, this is what we wanted out of Rashawn Gary.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't understand. I knew that Rashawn was the number one high school player when he came in, but we didn't get this type of effort from Rashawn Gary. So shout out to you for pointing that out.
Yeah, I used to get on him because this is what we expected. And when you get a 5-star and they're a freak athlete like Aiden is, like Rashawn is, and you know what they can do, but I think it was his sophomore year. I noticed something. He got a penalty on him, and he didn't like the penalty. He was mad about it. And then he comes out and gets a sack and hits the quarterback twice in a row. And it was just like, yeah, I can do this whenever I want to. Well, it's not you can do this whenever you want to. You're supposed to do that every play. Like, so it was just like effort. Aiden does that every time. Like, the quarterback steps up in the pocket. He doesn't give up like, oh, I can't get him. No, he chases them on up and gets strip sacks from it or gets covered sacks from it. You know what I'm saying? So it's just effort. And I noticed it early with Rashawn that effort just wasn't there. And that's why I'm just so glad that this dude has put in the work. Like, you see them in practice, and he's one of the first ones when they're running sprints and stuff. You see him leading the way, doing doing player-only meetings. Meet me in the weight room after practice. Everybody better be there. So that leadership just goes. Him, Josh Ross, and some of these other dudes, they've taken Hassan, of course, have taken the caliber of this team to the next level, like real leadership, because you need it from the players and the coaches.
Yeah. And I think I remember after the Nebraska game, Cade McNamara, they were interviewing him after the game, and he said, no shade to any of the guys who were here before, but this team doesn't give up. And we saw that in the past with the Shea Patterson teams, I don't know that the Wilton Spate team gave up, but when I think about the Revenge Tour team, it kind of had a prima donna feel to it. It kind of had we've got all these NFL wide receivers. We've got this Don Brown defense, but as soon as it got punched, it just kind of it had a glass jaw,
Yeah. I think the difference between a team like that is, one, Cade is I'd say he's a blue collar kind of guy. Like, he's not flashy. He just comes to work and he does what's asked of him for the most part. Like, yeah, he's not perfect. He's not JJ. He's not the 5-star. He can't make some of the throws JJ can make, but he's just, I'm going to do my job and I'm going to do it well. And then you got your real leader behind him. Like you're okay. Don't worry about it, Cade. I got you. Hand this thing off to me about 25, 30 times, and I'm gonna soften them up for you. So it's just I think these dudes going through what they went through with some of the revenge tour, because a lot of these dudes were on that team. The revenge tour last year being horrible and being talked about so bad, and having dudes that have legacy from their fathers and brothers like Ross and Aiden, it just galvanized this team to, all right, let's never let this last year ain't happening again on our watch. So let's get it together. Honestly, I didn't think the defense was going. I didn't really know. We talked about this before the season. I didn't really know. Defense is fickle. It could click like that, which it kind of did, or it could take a long time for it to click, maybe all season, but it clicked fast. And so they were able to hold it down when the running game may have gotten slowed down in certain games, and we were still trying to figure out the passing game. Mm-hmm. So it's all worked out great. I mean, we didn't expect this, but hey, I'm going to take it.
Yeah.
I'm going to take it.
I'm looking for, give me 1 second here. I'm looking for a picture. I can't find it. Give me 1 second here.
Oh, go ahead, bro.
So I just want to drive home. I started talking about how gratifying this win was and why. Because it's been a rough 10 years. I mean, even after Lloyd Carr retired, it was rough, but I mean, since Jim took over, yeah, it's been rough, especially the end of the season.
Yeah, it's been so rough because we've had teams that we thought could play with them. And honestly, and I touched on this, I think, in one of my other videos, we may have been able to beat them if we had a different defensive coordinator. It's just if you're giving up 56, you don't have a chance. You're giving up 62, you really don't have a chance to win. Like that's a lot of points to give up. They're scoring 14 every quarter pretty much. You really don't have a chance. So it's like now that Don Brown's gone and Ryan Day's not, like, I'm sure he's sad that he's gone, especially now. Like, he just didn't really give us a chance because our offenses didn't do too bad. Revenge tour in what was that, 2019? They didn't do that bad against Ohio State. It's just our defense was just getting killed. Like, they were just getting killed through the airs and on the ground. Like, they were just doing whatever they wanted to. So I think that's the real big difference between competing. Like, you got a defensive coordinator, the NFL. So, okay, what can I do to slow down a team with all these receivers? I know I got two dogs on the line that are going, okay, how can I make sure they can get some pressure and slow these dudes down? Instead of just, okay, I'm just going to run my man blitz. I'm going to leave Brad Hawkins on an island. I'm going to leave Brandon Watson to get killed. And, and I'm going to leave these certain dudes to just get killed one-on-one. Like, you just couldn't win like that. Not against them. Like, just think if Don Brown was the defensive coordinator for that game this year with those wide receivers, they probably would have put 50 on us again.
Yeah. I mean, because his thing was blitzing. It was almost like Buddy Ryan's 46. I'm going to send 8 guys, leave 3 in coverage, and they do how they do.
Yeah, you ain't getting no help.
No help. But it's a game of adjustments, and that's what the coaches are paid to do. They're paid to adjust the game plan to what the other team is doing. I'm going to show everybody something real quick. So guys, so I mean, we had a tradition. You see Abdul Gaines there, and some of you guys came for Abdul and Alex. After Saturday's game, arguably rightfully so. Abdul Gaines was part of our fan base at one point, and then he switched, he jumped. But we were our tradition was to watch the game. I didn't go to Buffalo this year, but our tradition was to watch the game at the Buffalo Wild Wings on Niagara Falls Boulevard. And I wish I was there to hear the Buckeye fans and see the Buckeye fans when the game was unfolding. But maybe from now on, I won't go home to Buffalo to watch the game. But I told you guys I was blogging before I came to YouTube. I actually wrote this. I wasn't on YouTube for the 2016 game, but it was just a sour feeling losing all those games. But this was a sour feeling because of the first down call, and then Ohio State getting picked into the playoff, even though they didn't make the Big Ten championship game. But just this year, the year after that, the 2017 game when Dwayne Haskins came in, and then the revenge tour game, all that was just painful. So that's why this win meant a lot to us as Michigan fans. Another thing I noticed, CJ Stroud never looked comfortable in this game. He made some throws. That Garrett Wilson throw where Vincent Gray had his back turned, and then the other play where I think it was DJ Turner had his back turned. These guys don't turn to find the ball anymore. But he made some throws, but in general, he just didn't look comfortable out there. CJ Stroud.
Yeah, that's a fact. And I mean, a lot of that goes to Aiden, but it goes to the defense. Aiden and Ojabo, of course, doing their job on the D-line, but Mike McDonald trusting his corners and the safeties to play a lot of press man. Like they were playing press man with two over the top a lot of the time with some zone mixed in. So the thing with that press man is they can't run free. Like, so the timing gets taken off some. So players, you think he's going to be here now, you're hesitating, and you're also thinking, okay, he's not really open yet. He's not wide open like I want him to be. Because if you watched a lot of Ohio State games this year, them dudes would be running cross and drag routes wide open. 5, 10 yards, 15 yards wide open. Like I was like, but when the games that they played close or the Oregon loss, the players were that the defenders were nearby, close kind of coverage. And it seems like he struggles with that a little bit. I mean, he's young, so he probably just doesn't have that real confidence yet. He's still trying to find himself as a player, but yeah, he was kind of shook. I think in general the whole team was. It seemed like in general their whole team was a little nervous after they got kind of hit in the mouth, and it was like, okay, this isn't what they told us it was going to be like playing these dudes. I thought we was going to put 60 on them. They said they didn't have a home field advantage. This place is rocking. Like what's going on? So I think they got shell shocked in I've been watching a lot of OSU blogs. I don't know what it's called, but they just didn't give us a chance. So I'm sure the players were listening to that type of stuff, just thinking they're gonna walk in there, put 60 on Michigan and onto the Big Ten championship.
Yeah. I was about to say something else and I forgot what I was going to say. A couple of points from your videos. I noticed you got a little jab in there at Steve Dace.
I had to get it, bro. I mean, it's just like, bro, just imagine if you missed that game. Yep. Like if you decided to go walk in the park or go shopping or whatever, and you look at your phone, Michigan beats Ohio State, upsets Ohio State 42-27. You're gonna be like, what? Like, huh? Like, I gotta go watch it. You gonna go watch it, but you're gonna see ESPN, you're gonna see the crowd all on the field. And it's just like, bro, I wouldn't have missed that for the world. Like that was just amazing, awesome. Everybody's saying that was the best college atmosphere they've ever seen. And it was like Saturday was for Michigan fans and college football fans, that was like magical. Like the way that went down in Woodson before the game with the flag and everything. And like the way it went down was just amazing. The snow, like Michigan football, like, man, come on. Like, so I had to get him like, bro, I get it, but you just missed out on something legendary. And watching it after facts, not the same. I've watched the game like 3 times.
Yep.
I probably watch it to go to sleep tonight.
Yeah. Alex, just be a little more patient. I want to, me and Johnny were having our little Michigan dialogue here. Just so I'll let you up after we talk about the Iowa game. I noticed you gave Brad Hawkins his roses too.
I gotta give him credit. Like I'm hard on players. I'm hard on players and coaches, but if you do your thing, I'll be the first to give you credit. So I felt like he deserved for me to go on and give him his credit. You earned that too. You earned that too, and hey, keep it up. Keep it up.
Okay. What do you think about? And geez, I hope we don't have a quarterback controversy next year. But it seems like Cade was making the throws, man. He was making the throws that were there, whether it was to Sanders still or whether it was to Roman or Donovan out of the backfield. What do you think about his maturation process throughout this year?
He's coming along nicely.
Yep.
The thing that about that, honestly, that game he was slick again. It was a game manager kind of a game, but besides that pick, I don't think he could have played almost any better being a game manager. Like the Cornelius throw, the one throw to Roman Wilson on the sideline, the Sanders Steele throw, he was just making. They weren't perfect throws, but he got it done. Like, so it was just like, okay, now I know next year I can't say next year because JJ got in and made a throw, made a run. So with that, it's like JJ's coming. I mean, I like Cade, but that young dude is coming. Like he's coming, and he can make his arm talent is just better than Cade's. Like honestly, I really don't want to think about it yet, but I just know he's coming. Like we all know he's coming. He's just too talented.
So Jim's got Alex Smith and Kaepernick all over again, basically. Almost.
Yeah, he's gonna have a problem. I mean, it's a good problem, but
yeah. So CJ Stroud went 34 for 49 for 349 yards. So he had a productive game. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Cade, in typical Cade fashion, efficient. 13 for 19, 159 yards, 1 interception. JJ went 1 for 1 for 31. Hassan ran for 169 yards. Our leading receiver, well, it was by committee. But yeah, so that's going to be interesting to see what happens next year. Because as you said, JJ is clearly the superior athlete. And as you said, he's coming.
Yeah, and next year, the defense is probably going to take a step back next year, honestly. Maybe not, but you're losing Aiden. You're probably going to lose Ajabo. You're probably going to lose Dax Hill. You're probably going to lose Brad Hawkins. So it's probably going to take a step back, but I expect the offense to be better next year. I expect the offense to be better because you got pretty much everybody coming back except probably Hassan in some of the offensive line. Let's hope they got that together, but you got Donovan Edwards, you got Blake Corum, all the receivers are back. And if JJ started, you got a running game with the quarterback. So that's another thing that everybody has to watch out for. Even if Cade starts, they're only going to JJ's going to be getting reps. Like he's getting reps now. So next year, you think they're not going to give him even more? You know what I'm saying? Because he just brings it's another thing to worry about. So you know, it's a good problem. I hate to worry about it now almost, but it's coming.
And this Jay Marion said it as well. So we should get Ronnie as well.
Ronnie Bell. And shout out to Ronnie, bro. I mean, just real quick, shout out to Ronnie, bro. I feel bad that he doesn't get to be on the field for what's happening right now because he was there last year. He was there for some of those other years we got trounced by OSU. Shout out to him because he's a leader. He's a real leader. I hate it. He don't get to, you know, be on the field and actually, you know, contribute.
Yeah, well, I noticed Jim was shouting him out after the game, and piggybacking off what you just said, it takes a real leader to support your teammates when you're injured and to help coach your teammates up. And you can see he was happy for everybody on the sidelines. You know, some kids when they get hurt, you know, they mope, they want to be out there, but it takes a real leader to still be a part of the team and coach the guys up and help the guys when you're injured.
Yeah, I didn't even see him. I didn't see him on the sideline.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna breeze through some things here. Then we'll talk about Saturday's game because Alex wants to come up here and give the Buckeye perspective. Just real quick, guys. Let's see. You know, and again, a lot of you guys, Abdul Gaines there in the chat, and everyone. Abdul Gaines is a good guy. He's passionate. He's fiery. He's a Laker guy. He wants his teams to win, but looks like Jimbo gave his at least a portion of his salary back, or gave his salary back to the department. So a little holiday gesture of goodwill there. And I'll probably leave all these in the playback. The current top 25 rankings have us at number 2. Number 2. How about that? Who would have thought this team would have been number 2 at the beginning of the season? I predicted a rebuilding year. So they're number 2. Georgia's number 1. And then this one, I think we can go ahead and jump to Saturday's game. Let me pull up the spread, and then I have the stats, some stats ready for us as well. So, guys, I'm not going to read this verbatim, but as you know, our opponent out in Indianapolis is going to be none other than the Iowa Hawkeyes. This guy right here, Kirk Ferentz, and his team with the Pittsburgh Steelers uniforms. This Kirk Ferentz has been around since I was a grad student at Iowa. They play a disciplined game. He's always got a team full of veterans, and they're fundamentally sound. So you can make the argument that they play in the weaker division, but the good thing is it's not out at Kinnick Stadium. We don't do well there. It's on a neutral field. It's indoors, no elements. So in theory, this should favor us, but there's a concern that with our young team that we might be overlooking these guys. We're favored to win by 10, but what do you think, Johnny?
10 sounds about right, honestly. I hate playing Iowa, no matter where it's at. Well-coached teams, teams like them, Iowa, Pat Fitzgerald with Northwestern, these teams that have coaches that have been there for so long because they just have the teams fundamentally sound and ready to play all the time.
Yep.
So I hate playing Iowa, but you know they don't have. They're kind of built like we are, except they don't have as talented of players. So they're going to want to run the ball and play good defense, play action pass off of running the ball. Their quarterback, and they just don't have a good quarterback, and the receivers aren't explosive. So they struggle on offense if they can't run the ball. So we
Right.
should be able to handle them as long as I think the only way they can stay in the game is if Michigan turns it over somehow, whether it's on a muff punt or something like that, or if Cade just throws a pick. I don't honestly with their secondary, I wouldn't think we would be throwing that much. I mean, it's not our style anyway.
Yep.
So hopefully we shouldn't have to worry about that because them dudes in those zones, they play zones like they're meant to be played. Like everybody's on a string, they know their job, and these dudes are juniors and seniors, so they know what they're doing. Like they're not playing around in the zone and making many mistakes. Like so, it should be with Haskins. And I said this in my video. I'm glad we have Haskins the way he runs because this is a game where you need a running back like that to get tough yards, and also a dude like Blake that can take it 60. So we should handle out. It should handle itself, but I'm somewhat nervous.
Yeah, Alex, I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Me and Johnny are going to go over some of the stats, and then I'll bring you in. Something you mentioned earlier, I think that will really help us out here is the leadership. You know, you guys like Aiden, guys like Hassan are probably talking to the young guys saying, hey, look, you know, we can't overlook these guys. We have to win the Big Ten title. So I think that's going to be a positive.
Yeah, they've came too far to lose this game. Like, honestly, like you can't let Iowa mess us up again. Like you can't let them do this to us.
Yeah. I'm going to look at some of the stats, and then because I was looking at some of these earlier. Alex, the link is there. Let's see. So scoring. Us in Ohio State, we're number 1 and 2. Iowa's down there at number 10. Scoring defense. This is where it gets interesting. Scoring defense. We're right next to each other, 3 and 4.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that is Iowa hasn't played as tough of a schedule with us, meaning they didn't have to play Michigan. I mean, well, during the regular season, Michigan State, or Ohio State.
That's true.
They just had to play Penn State, really. And Clifford got hurt. Looked like they were going to lose that one until Clifford got hurt. But those dudes, I give Iowa a lot of credit and respect, especially that defense, because if you mess around and throw an interception, they trying to take it to the house.
Yeah. So similar deal. This is looking at yardage on offense. We're number 1 and 2 with Ohio State. Iowa is down here at number 13. But if you go over to the defense, once again, we're right next to each other, 3 and 4. So they play defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so our advantage, it looks like, is going to be on the offensive side of the ball. Rushing, we're number 1. Iowa is number 11. For rushing defense, they're number 3. So again, they play D, but they seem to be offensively challenged. Let's see. We're interestingly in terms of the passing game, and I think Cade's stats that we just saw kind of reflect this. For the passing game, we're number 7. Iowa's number 8. So we average about 50 more yards per game than they do. In terms of pass defense, we're 2 slots higher than them. So we should be able to outscore these guys. You know, we're playing in the stronger division. Our offensive line is moving the ball at the point of attack. Hassan Haskins is playing as good as he's played. So on paper, we should win this, but it's a veteran team, and they're always well coached in terms of fundamentals.
Yeah, Michigan, and I was saying this on my video that I just made. Michigan, it's imperative that Michigan just gets up early to take away their running game. So it's like okay, we take away what you do best, Now we're gonna make y'all pass it and get to what our defense does the best, getting after the quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we do not want this game going into the fourth quarter close.
No, and I don't want the committee to have to decide, doing all the multiplication and all the numbers and the voting to put us in the playoff. I want a definitive spot in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
So everyone, we've been joined by our resident Buckeye Alex. He's going to give us some perspective on Saturday's game and I guess just in general what happened.
Good evening, gentlemen. How you guys doing?
Alex?
How you doing?
Good. Where should I start? Well, first off, I want to congratulate the team up north. Listen, hats off to you guys. You definitely deserved that win on Saturday. We got punched in the face pretty much. There are a couple things I do want to highlight. Let's see, where should I start? Let's start off with last year, the COVID year. Okay. What a difference a year makes. Meaning, I think we all are in agreement that with the COVID year, if Michigan would have played Ohio State, they would have got boat raced. I think we're all in agreement to that, right? Okay. If Michigan plays Ohio State, Michigan gets boat raced. Jim Harbaugh gets fired. He's fired. Like 0-6, he's going to be fired. And a year later, although you guys say, I've heard repeatedly, and Michigan does have a young team, right? They have a very, very young team. Ohio State has the youngest Power 5 team in the country. They're the youngest. We have 47 redshirt freshmen and true freshmen on that team. Now, the things that have been highlighted, the defensive line, everybody knows that the game is one in the trenches, period. And I said this, and Anwar can attest to it. In the middle of the game, I said, they're too cute. They got too cute. They didn't run the football. They didn't do what they normally do. And Michigan basically lined up in 12 and 11-man personnel, had an extra lineman, and said, we're going to run it down your throat. What are you going to do about it? Part of the problem on the other side is we had a first-year coach playing. We had a first-year defensive coordinator who was coaching special teams. That was an issue. We had linebackers, or we had a tight ends and running backs playing linebacker. That was an issue. We had no depth at linebacker pretty much all year long. All these guys are first-year starters. We had two guys lead the program who they had played snaps in previous years. And you just, we got exposed. At the end of the day, we got exposed. Ohio State runs this offensive line with 4 tackles, which I think is a terrible idea. Because when you're running with 4 tackles, 4 guys who are used to pass blocking, Hutchinson just did whatever he wanted because those guys are not pass blocking and run blocking in 2 different mindsets, right? Two completely different mindsets. You got to fire off the ball. Pass blocking is protecting. Running the ball, you need to fire off the ball and hit somebody. It's a completely different mindset. So I think we ran into a perfect storm when it comes to Michigan. It was a perfect storm. We weren't ready to play. We already had controversy around Kerry Combs getting demoted. And, we got by because we had probably 3 of the best receivers in college, and possibly a Heisman candidate, because CJ he's just that good. But you're right, Johnny. All they did was play too high safety the whole game. They were not getting beat over the top. That was not going to happen.
I have an interesting question here from Big Zeke Thompson. Fellas, do you think we have a chance to start getting back in Ohio recruiting wise? I would appreciate
Absolutely
your thoughts.
not.
Go Blue.
Absolutely not.
Johnny, do you have any thoughts on this?
I mean, it's possible. It's a possibility if we keep it up. I mean, this is the first step. Now, winning the Big Championship, that's the next step. Mm-hmm. Maybe winning a playoff game, making the championship, that's the next step. Players are going to start saying, okay, I do kind of like Michigan for whatever reason. Now they have a reason to actually think about it instead of Ohio State or Michigan. Well, I want to win a championship or at least have the shot. Okay, Ohio State. So it gives us a glimpse, but it's gonna take some more winning.
Yeah, I think another thing too is, hey, listen, you guys haven't won in a long time, so by all means, gloat, right? Let them feel it. I told Anwar earlier, in the last 20 years we won 85% of the games. That 15% really sucks right now for us. It feels like it's 85%. It feels like we lose 85% of the time. But perspective, last 20 years, we've only lost 3 times. But it still hurts. So I can't imagine what it's like on the other side of that. I can't imagine. So like where other people are like, they don't want to hear it, I'm okay to hear it, because you guys have experienced on your end 7 times the amount what we're experiencing on our end. And I can't imagine what that's like. Not to mention, and I've said this from the moment I've been up here, I want Michigan to be good because it's good for the Big Ten. It's good for college football. When Ohio State and Michigan are the 2 best teams in the country, that is when college football is at its best. Not with Alabama, not with Florida, not with Georgia, not with USC. When Ohio State and Michigan are at their peaks, it is great for college football, period. And I don't like losing. I'm gonna just say that I don't like losing. I don't even want to come up here. I don't like losing, but I'm a realist.
Yeah, Alex, is this true? This was probably the first game Stroud ever played in the snow.
Correct.
Then add that super loud crowd, then the pressure from the D line. It was a bit too much for the freshman. Is he from the South?
He's from California. He's from Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I agree. It's better. It's better. And as I said, Alex, I appreciate you because you're practical. You're a pragmatist, just like me. It's like the Lakers and the Celtics. It's better when both teams are competing with one another as opposed to one being a doormat and the other one being a Mack truck.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't like it. I mean, I still stand by my TreVeyon Henderson as the best running back in the country. I'm not backing down on for that. I'm not. I'm just not. You can't run if your line doesn't block. Period. If TreVeyon Henderson ran behind Michigan's offensive line, he would have had 600 yards. It wouldn't have been, 5, 10, maybe a small 20. He would have been going to the house every time he touched the ball. Because he's that good. He's special. He's Reggie Bush type of special. He's a special dude. He's different. Hassan Haskins is a monster. I am not taking any credit away from him. He's out of here. Probably a 1st or 2nd round pick. He's gone. He's a beast. But TreVeyon Henderson is like generational type talent. It's different. It's just different.
Okay. Yeah, I feel you on that. I mean, and people always talk about the running backs, but it's never the running back against the front seven.
No.
It's the offensive line against their front seven.
Mm-hmm.
And people like to forget that a lot of the times.
Absolutely. And, listen, I saw plays where he was getting hit 3-4 yards behind the line of scrimmage, running the ball. That should never happen. There are a lot of changes, especially, and it's going to be interesting with the changing of the coaching landscape over the past, 48 hours, 72 hours. It's going to be really interesting what we do on our end, because if you don't think that Ryan Day is going to make some changes, he's not Jim Harbaugh. He's not going to sit back and wait and be forced to do it. Listen, he demoted Kerry Combs after the Oregon game. You don't think he's going to make changes? It's coming. I don't know what's going to happen, but all I know is that what we saw on Saturday, as long as he is coaching at Ohio State, we will probably never see that again. If we lose, it will not be like that.
Let me ask you something real quick, bro. What do you think? Okay, what's this? Ryan Day's, this is his third year?
Yeah, third year.
Do you think is any difference between Urban's players and now you're starting to get Ryan Day's players, or you don't really think that's it?
I think
That's a good question.
I think the players that we have now, although it be young, they were very young. I think we had a strange turnover when it comes to the difference between Urban's players and Ryan Day's players. When Ryan came in, there were a lot of seniors, and there wasn't typically the depth that we normally have, where you have one or two seniors, freshmen and sophomores. It was like all seniors, all juniors and seniors, maybe some freshmen here and there, and that's why our team is so young. Because we had to think about it like this: we had a lot of turnover going to the NFL. Like those teams with Haskins, Barrett, Fields, all those guys, we were top heavy. They were all juniors and seniors, and they all went to the NFL. We were losing corners we were using multiple corners every year. Defensive linemen every year, offensive linemen every year, wide receivers every year. We just didn't have the actual depth that we had on Urban, like with Urban Meyer's teams. Urban Meyer teams had a lot of depth. This team, because they're so young, they just have not been able to build that depth yet. Because you have to think about it like this: Damon Arnett, Sean Wade, Jeff Okuda, they're all gone in like a 2-year period. Then you have Sevyn Banks, who is super average at best. Cameron Brown, who's really good but is always hurt. And we're starting a freshman corner. We had two guys who should have been playing this year who are, they're in jail because of a case that went on in Columbus. They're in jail for like a domestic case, right? So those two guys probably should have been starting this year, but they're sitting in a jail cell. So there was a lot of turnover. I mean, Ryan Day's brought in a lot of good players, but they're very, very, very young. Like when Urban left, all those guys were juniors and seniors. So, gotcha. I mean, that's just but that's also on him, and that's on the coaching staff to recruit. Use the transfer portal, bring in depth, which I don't think they've done a very good job of that, especially when it comes to the linebacker core, because last year's linebacker core was probably top 20 in the country. Those guys are pretty good, but if you see a pattern, we have players that have never started before. CJ Stroud never started. All the linebackers this year never started. We have defensive linemen never started. Offensive linemen never started. Starting freshman cornerback. So it's definitely gonna take some time just like you guys are young, right? Like you said, the defense probably take a step back because Hutchinson and Ojabo will probably be gone. But like on both ends, part of recruiting or part of building depth. That's part of recruiting, and I just don't think they've necessarily done a good job of creating depth. And if you know, at least on our end, we were playing a ton of guys because we had no idea what we had. Like, switching from Kerry Combs to, I can't remember the guy's name, but switching defensive coordinators, we didn't know who we had at linebacker. We didn't know who we had at corner. I mean, we were playing Turner half of the year, Seven Banks half the year. Cam Brown came back, I want to say the second or third game of the year. So, like, and then we're shuffling guys around on the offensive line. We got 4 tackles, which to me still to this day is like the dumbest thing I've ever heard of in my entire life. Which it's a horrible idea, but we're just, just so young, we really don't know what we have. And with you guys it seemed like you guys got an identity halfway through the season where I don't think Ohio State really ever had an identity, at least on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, we knew we had, 3 NFL receivers, and we knew we had the star running back, but we never really ran the ball well all year. Like Trayvon Henderson he was averaging like 8 yards per play, but it wasn't a consistent running game. Like we just, we threw it a bunch of times and we sprinkled a little bit of running there, and that was pretty much it. But I don't think the actual team had an identity, and I don't think the team is really tough, to be honest with you. I agree with the Michigan players and staff and coaches. They're not tough. They're not. They weren't tough at all.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to address this question. I think we already talked about this just briefly. Gideon Starkweather says, what happens to Michigan if we lose to Iowa? Well, at that point, then
season's over.
You see how the rest of it shakes out, and then you hope the committee picks you.
They won't.
Yeah, we lose.
The season's over. Yeah, you won't play for national championship.
It's some bowl game. I mean, it'd be a good bowl game, but it's not.
Yeah. They're not going to put in a 2-loss Alabama, okay? If Alabama loses, they're not putting in a 2-loss Alabama. They're definitely not putting in a 2-loss Michigan team.
Yeah, if we lose, we're going to have to hope a bunch of teams lose.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're probably looking at Oklahoma. Oklahoma, if they went out, it'd probably be Oklahoma and Notre Dame if those two went out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Jay Marion says Stroud and Olave are from Cali. The other 2 wide receivers are from Texas. They weren't ready for that snow.
Yeah, that's a terrible point. Did you forget what Olave did to Michigan last time he was up there? Does anybody remember?
Yeah, I'm glad he's gone. See you.
Exactly.
Yeah, me too. So apparently, we'll go for about 15 more minutes, guys. There were some choice words at the end of the game between these 2 guys. Did you guys hear about that?
No.
Yeah, Harbaugh. They asked him. Harbaugh said, some people start off on third base and think they hit a triple, basically saying Ryan Day inherited a good team or a great team already. He didn't really have to do much, which is pretty much true. He didn't build it, basically.
He kind of did. He built. I mean, most of those players are his players.
Yeah, but he inherited Urban Meyer team.
Right, but when you have the youngest team in the Power 5, that's your team.
I think he's saying in general, like,
okay,
when he first took over, not like this year. I think he's saying like you inherited a team that was already built and you just had to keep it kind of going. You didn't come into something that was horrible and had to be built up, basically.
The only thing I don't like about that is, why are you saying that after a win? Why aren't you saying that after a loss?
Well, I think the bad blood was going back to didn't Ryan Day tell him like 2 years ago we're gonna hang 100 on you or something?
Yeah, he said we're going to make them come up with the mercy rule. That's what he said.
Okay.
We're gonna make the Big Ten employ a mercy rule. That's how bad we're going to beat you. And that probably would have happened if they would have played, especially with that team. Because that man, Justin Fields was a different type. That was a monster. He was a monster. But I definitely think the elements had a lot to do with that game too. Listen, it was a Michigan type game, man. Like, you know, power run. Like, you know, you're swinging guards and tight ends out the side with a running back behind them. Like, that was a Michigan game if I ever seen one.
Yeah. Okay, so Alex, so it sounds like there was a bit of a rebuild for you guys going on as well. With I never heard of playing 4 tackles before, on an offensive line.
We have 4 tackles because what Ohio State did was they played the best 4 offensive linemen, just the best 4, right? Just the best 4. So Paris Johnson, who was, I think it was like the number 2 or number 3 tackle in the country, he's playing guard. Thayer Mumford, who was a projected first-round pick, he's playing guard. Nicholas Petit-Ferrer, who was a 5-star tackle, he's playing tackle. And DeJuan Jones, who was a 3-star basketball player, who's like 6'8" something, he's playing tackle. So we have 4 tackles and a center on the offensive line. I know, Johnny, I see that look on your face. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. Trust me, like, it sounds good. They're like, oh, we got 4 tackles. They're interchangeable. Well, it doesn't do anything because we can't run the football. And running the football against Tulsa, who plays a 3-5-5 or a 3-3-5, and Maryland, like, and Michigan State, who has the worst pass defense in the country, doesn't do very much. Like, football's one in the trenches.
Let me ask you this real quick. What did you think before the game? What did you think the score was going to be?
I actually had a dream that they lost 35-27. The night before the game, I had a dream that Ohio State lost 35-27.
Oh, really?
When I saw the snow, I knew they were going to lose. My initial thought was, think about the Michigan State game. Was that the team not being tough, or was that a poorly coached / poorly reffed game? Which one is it? I think it was all the above. I think that Michigan State loss and then them seeing what Ohio State did to Michigan State lit a fire on their ass. Excuse my language. I think it lit a fire on their behind. Because they're like, Michigan, in my mind, Michigan's like, wait a minute. We were up 16. We know they can't stop the run. That's been Ohio State's Achilles heel all season. We know they can't stop the run. All we got to do is run the ball. That's all we got to do. And it's snowing, so it's cold. And think about who they played. Maryland, Nebraska, early, mid-season. They haven't played a cold weather team all year. Hasn't been cold at all. It's been in the 40s, maybe 50s, every single game they played. It looked cold up there, and I'm in Florida. It looked cold. They didn't want any part of that. And they need to, whatever that is, I hope they fester in it. I hope every single day they have conditioning. I hope they pull them in and they show Hassan Haskins running up the freaking middle for 20 yards. I hope they show Blake Corum running 50 yards down the field. And whoever I can't remember the one receiver, white kid. And then they show Edwards catching stuff one-handed. Like, I hope they show it every day. So that way that never happens again. Like I said, I'm not gonna say that Ohio State is gonna win every game, but I will say they'll never lose like that again. They got punked.
It was
period.
It was cool to see the emotion because your safety ripped the helmet off Roman Wilson.
Listen. How this is one thing I hate about the Big Ten refs. How they didn't call a flag while the guy's holding his legs.
Yeah.
Like, what are you supposed to do? I mean, you can't rip the helmet off, but like, ref, you gotta throw the flag on that. He's holding his legs. Like, he's not even letting him go.
You know, the second guy always gets caught.
Always gets caught. But I mean, the ref was trying to separate it, so he clearly saw it. But I think that kind of bodes back to, I want to say it was the 18. I want to say it was the revenge tour game in the third quarter where they were untying and knotting one of the players' shoes. Like, Michigan got in Ohio State's head.
Yeah, they definitely
got in their head.
It was surprising to see them that follow through, that confident, that tough. Like, we about to do these dudes in today.
Yeah.
Like,
listen, you play that game, and so there was a couple things. They had everybody, like most of the team had the flu that week, right?
So that was true.
Sure. Yeah, that is true. Like, CJ Stroud had the flu. A lot of the offensive linemen had the flu. Like, there were guys that were sick on that team. No excuses, though. No excuses. You got to go out there and play. I don't give a damn. Listen, if you're on the field, you got to play ball, period. If you hurt, sit on the sideline. If you can play, there's no excuses. So, I mean, we just ran into a buzzsaw.
One thing real quick, I felt like us Michigan's defense not having to worry about a quarterback that likes to run and having to deal with that mobile quarterback. I felt like it was like, okay, we don't really have to worry about this because he can run, but he doesn't like to. He's a reluctant runner. I felt like that was like a big breath of fresh air to not have to worry about that.
I agree.
Was that what the controversy was about when he told the reporters, I'm the quarterback, my job is to throw the ball?
Yeah, he said running backs run the ball. I'm a quarterback. Okay. Yeah, listen, I definitely think personally that game was poorly coached. I think there were not adjustments that had been made. I think that was one adjustment that clearly could have been made. Even if you're not getting any yardage out of it, it gives you something else to think about. It gives you one more thing to think about. Okay, is he going to pull it and run? Because listen, Cade pulls it and run, and Cade is like Tom Brady. Cade's slower than an offensive lineman, but he'll pull it and try to get some yards. So I mean, however you got to get their running game going, you got to have some type of balance. I mean, we saw it against Oregon. I think CJ threw for like 450 yards and they lost.
Mm-hmm.
No balance at all.
Yeah, because I was glad to not. I was kind of worried about it. I never touched on it, but I was thinking about, like, man, he might try to pull it down and get those yards, but it never really happened because before we've played good defense, JT Barrett years when he couldn't make any throws, then he'd be all of a sudden he's running like, oh God.
Yeah. And listen, JT reminds me a lot of, he's a more athletic version of Cade, right? Not the best quarterback in the world. He can make the throws, he can manage the game, but he can also run it. You know, he can get you 5-6 yards if he needs to, 20 if you miss a tackle.
Those are back-breaking yards too.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, listen, we were one-dimensional. One-dimensional. That's what Michigan made Ohio State a one-dimensional team. And once there's a blueprint to how to beat you, unless you adjust, which we didn't, the game was over. The game was over when I knew the game was over when I saw the snow. But when he came out in the first half and had that 3 and out, I was like, okay, we're done. I'm going outside. I'm going to watch my son ride the scooter up and down the street. And that's exactly what I did.
Yeah, I was surprised with that snap. That snap that went and wiggled on the ground and CJ had to pick it up. I was like, did Ohio State just do that?
Yeah. Listen,
in this game?
Listen, you guys went down. You know what it reminded me? It reminded me of, do you remember a couple of years ago when Penn State had the number one defense in the country, or they had the number one run defense in the country, and they played in Columbus. And Ryan Day said, I'm going to take that away. And he ran 9 plays, and they punched it in the end zone. 9 running plays straight, right down their throat with J.K. Dobbins. That's what it reminded me of. And then you guys ran it straight down our throat. We get the ball. Julian Fleming bobbles the snap, and I'm like, oh, Lord, like, you can't bobble the snap on a kickoff. We get the ball like the 4 or 5 yard line. We're deep in our end zone, and I was just like, this game it's a wrap. Like, it's over. It's just over. It was over. And I'm sick about it, but it is what it is.
Get used to feeling like that.
Nope. I ain't gonna say that.
I think Ryan Day.
I'll hold this one for you, but I'm not holding another one. I'm coming. Listen, we're too talented, and we know it's wrong. If we lose another game, I'm coming for Ryan. I promise you I will. I'll come for him.
Well, I don't. Alex, you clearly know more about Ryan Day than I do, but I get the sense that he's that much of a competitor. That he's going to be turning over in his bed about this for the next year. So I think Ohio State will be back.
Yeah, like he's one thing I feel like. I think Ryan Day is very similar to Nick Saban, where he hates to lose more than he likes to win. And he's about as intense of a coach as it gets. He's really, really intense. So like I said, I'm gonna sit back, and we've been talking about it privately, but I'm gonna wait and see what happens, the moves he's gonna make. But there's gonna be some moving and shaking. I mean, I've heard some rumblings about Greg Studrar, who's the offensive line coach. I think he's gonna be out of there. I don't know if Kerry Combs is gonna be back or not. So, we'll just have to wait and see. I know Tony Alford, the running back coach, is going to stay. I mean, he's put some players in the NFL. So I don't think some of those guys aren't going anywhere. I know Brian Hartline's not going anywhere. But there's definitely going to be some moving pieces with our position coaches. And I'm just waiting to see, especially with defensive coordinator, waiting to see what's going to happen.
Okay. Well, we'll end with this. I think the obvious question for Jim is going to be: is this a one-hit wonder? Is this a fluke? Can he do it again? Can they do it again? So I think when the season's over, that's going to be the next question.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on something because somebody commented, is it possible to change some of the recruiting to catch up? The only way that's going to happen is if Michigan starts putting players consistently in the NFL, which right now they're not. Mm-hmm. And I mean first, second, third round picks, not rounds 4 through 7, and then like maybe one sprinkled in here or there. Like this year's a great year because I think Hutchinson and Dabo are definitely and Haskins. I think all those dudes are going to be first or second round picks. So that's a huge start. But it's got to be consistent, especially when it comes to recruiting, because recruits just look and see. If I'm a top 50 player, who's going to develop me? What's the fastest track I can get to the NFL? 3 years and out. Remember, all their announcements say the next 3 to 4 years. When you go to Michigan, you're typically playing 4 years. You're not out of there in 3. There's a difference. Mm-hmm. But this team is definitely a step in the right direction if they want to start putting consistent players in the NFL. So we'll see what happens in recruiting, but you got to develop the guys. And I know it's such a hard school to get into because we take online classes, but nobody's talking about that right now. Everybody's like, we won, blah, blah, blah. But, they're saying Ohio State was winning games because we took online classes, but nobody's saying a word about that. This popped in my head. Sorry. Okay. A little bitter.
Well, Well, guys, we're at an hour and a half. I want to be mindful of Johnny's time and your time, Alex. So I think we'll wrap up there. So I think the task at hand is to beat Iowa. You guys want to give a parting shot?
Yeah, I'll go first. Johnny, Iowa can't run the football, and they can't pass the football. So I think you'll be all right. I think you guys are gonna be all right. They play a. I love their defense. I love Iowa's defense, but they can't run and they can't pass. We clearly saw that in the Penn State game. And you're right. If Clifford wouldn't have got hurt, they would have lost by 2 touchdowns in that game if Clifford wouldn't have got hurt. So, but yeah, I think you guys have your hands or have your way with Iowa. I'm not really worried about that. It's like, yeah, I'm not too worried about that at all. So we'll see what happens. We'll see who you draw. Hopefully you don't draw Alabama, because somebody's got to fight that demon if they can beat Georgia. So we'll see. Hopefully you have to play Georgia if Alabama beats Georgia.
We hoping.
Go ahead, Johnny.
We're hoping Georgia beats Bama, so we don't have to worry about them.
Right.
And we get a beatable Oklahoma State in there and Cincinnati's, so we know we can beat them.
Mm-hmm.
Or at
I
Notre
don't know,
Dame.
man. Listen, do you remember what Cincinnati did to Georgia last year?
Mm-mm.
That was the game probably of the year. They were up 3 touchdowns on Georgia last year, and Cincinnati lost. Cincinnati is – listen, I know they play where they play, but they are not to be messed with. If they're on their game, they can beat anybody.
Well, Alex,
I'll take my chances.
Okay.
Well, Alex, since we're talking about Cincinnati, he's
don't you do
quite a bit now. There he is. Pickle alert.
He's not going anywhere.
Pickle to Notre Dame.
They're probably gonna hire Marcus Freeman, which I hope they don't. But I would like to see Freeman have that Notre Dame job for my own selfish reasons. But I would love to see him come home. So we'll see.
Okay. Well, thanks, Alex.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thanks, Johnny.
No problem, bro. I just want us to take care of business for this Iowa game. Hopefully they're focused. The leaders got them focused and ready to go, because this is just a big game and we cannot afford a letdown. And it's college football, so anything can happen. So I just want to make sure that they come out locked and loaded, ready to take care of business and get ready for that break and, that time to rest up and get ready for the playoff, because I don't like him. I don't like playing him. I do not like playing him. And for some reason, to me, their players are always they're always yoked up, like real aggressive. Look, I don't know if it's the colors or what, but their strength and conditioning coach, he does a good job to me.
Yep. Yeah, they're always ready to play us. But it's on a neutral field. Weather's not going to be an issue. So I think that bodes well for our guys.
Yeah, and like he said, their offense isn't that good. I mean, Goodson, is it Goodson? Yeah, Goodson does have 1,100 yards with a abysmal passing game. So that's basically telling you he's getting yards with probably 8 in the box all the time, and because they can't pass worth crap. So, so he's a pretty good back. So we still got to come out there and stop them. They're not just going to – Iowa ain't just going to give us the championship. We got to take it, just like we had to take it from Ohio State. Nobody's going to give us anything. So we got to go and take care of business.
Yep, I agree. Well, Johnny, thanks for coming through, man. I did just let you know today that I was doing this, but I appreciate you coming through, and I enjoy your commentary all the time. So, especially your Steve Dace, your Brad Hawkins, all of it. Yeah, very, very thorough analysis.
I appreciate it, bro. Anytime. I enjoy collabing.
All right, I'll see what you have to say after Saturday as well.
All right, bro.
All right, have a good night.
Go Blue.
Right, go Blue. All right, everyone, I'm going to wrap this live stream up. Thank you to Alex and Johnny for coming up. Guys, I want to end with this picture. If you saw the background, I mean, you probably did, but it's the thumbnail for the stream. It's this picture right here. This might be, where is it? As per usual, I don't have it queued up, but I'm going to load it up right now as I finish this. Just bear with me for 1 minute. Yeah, here it is. All right. Hey guys, yeah, if you're just coming in, I know I'm wrapping up, but please hit the like. Likes are free. It helps with the engagement and it helps the channel. This might be my favorite picture now. This picture of Aiden and Josh Ross sprinting up the field. They look kind of like superheroes here, like the Avengers or something like that. But this is the thumbnail for the stream, and I use this as the background. I love this picture. So yeah, guys. So the big game for the game, the battle for the Big Ten championship is Saturday in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium or Lucas Oil Field, wherever the Colts play. That's where it is. It's Michigan's first trip there, and hopefully they come out with the Big Ten title and they have a guaranteed spot in the college football playoff. So look for a post-game video, probably a pre-record, because I think I'll be back in a secluded location this weekend. So thank you to all of you who watched. The viewership is very much appreciated. Someone left a comment under my last video and said that he remembered when I first started and he was impressed and happy to see how much the channel had grown. So that's all due to you guys. So I didn't think that I'd still be making Michigan football content right now. I thought that we'd be getting ready for the Citrus Bowl or something like that. So I do have some other stuff ready to roll out after this game, and once we see what happens with it. So be on the lookout for that. And thank you again, everyone. So I'm going to stop this stream here. If you want to donate to the channel, my Cash App and PayPal are below this stream and below the playback. Please like, share, and subscribe. Go Blue. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, guys, and I will talk to you the next time. Bye-bye. You too, Abdul Gaines. Take care.